Football is by far the most watched sport in the world, and just like other sports, it has extremely high and low moments. We're not here to talk about the lowest moments of footballers, but to talk about their highest ones. To highlight them, I made a list of the greatest goals in football history. I hope that by watching them, you'll all become nostalgic. Without further ado, let's start the video. First up is probably the most impressive goal in Serie A history. After leaving Real Madrid, Cristiano Ronaldo wanted a new challenge in his career, as he already became a real legend, and decided to join Juventus. A very controversial move. He spent 3 seasons in Italy, and of course he couldn't leave without making his presence left. We all knew how good he is in air, but his athletic prowess was never more apparent than during a fixture against Sampdoria. After an impressive jump measured at 8.39 feet or 2.55 meters, Ronaldo scored a stunning header and left the fans speechless. Even though he was 34 back then, he wanted to show everyone that he still had some years left in him. Of course, being one of the best players in history, he's no stranger to crazy goals, so I might come back to this idea in another video. Because I mentioned Ronaldo, why not mention Messi next? Almost 9 years ago, Jerome Boateng, one of the best players in the world back then, endured the most humiliating moment of his career at the hands of Lionel Messi. Barcelona beat Bayern 3-0 at Camp Nou in the first leg of their semi-final, with Messi netting twice and Neymar scoring the other goal. Even though they scored the goals in the last 13 minutes, the MSN trio was unstoppable that night. Messi's second strike will go down as one of the most iconic UCL goals in history. In the 80th minute, the Argentine was found by Rakitic down the right flank, twisted Boateng in a 1v1 duel inside the box, put the German defender down with a quick dribble, dinked the ball over Neuer and scored. Barcelona won the tie 5-3 and went on to win the UCL. Well, that was the last good moment against Bayern, as in their next 5 games they lost on 5 occasions, including the 8-2 humiliation back in 2020. On top of that, in the last 5 games, Bayern wins 19-2, which is so painful. Let's continue with another member of the MSN trio, Neymar. The 2014-15 season was the second one for MSN at Barcelona, and oh boy, they were cooking. Messi, Suarez, and Neymar scored 90 of the club's 112 La Liga goals that season, but in one game, the last 2 were unstoppable. Without Messi on the pitch due to an injury, Suarez and Neymar tried to win Barcelona the 3 points against Villarreal, which they did. In a 3-0 victory, Suarez scored a goal and Neymar too. But it was the last goal that shocked the world. Suarez was running on the left wing and passed the ball to the Brazilian. With his back to goal in the box, he performed a sombrero flick over his marker and smashed a first-time volley past the hopeless Areola. I think this might be the most underrated goal in history. That was the year when Neymar finished 3rd in the Ballon d'Or race. I think that if he wouldn't have accepted the PSG offer, he would have been a Ballon d'Or winner by now. The last La Liga player I'll mention today is Gareth Bale. I'm sure that you already know why I mentioned him, but for those who don't know, you'll find out in approximately 5 seconds. In the 2018 UCL final, the score was 1-1 when Bale came on from the bench. After only 3 minutes, he scored an absolute beauty. Marcelo crossed the ball from the left side. Bale met the cross and scored probably the most beautiful bicycle kick in UCL history. And because he scored it in a final, makes it even more beautiful. Because of his performance, that night he was the man of the match and left Kyiv with 2 trophies. Unfortunately, after that season, his career went downhill. And now, at 34, he's retired for a year and a half and plays golf on a regular basis. This bicycle was more important than the one I'll mention now, but this one's more iconic. Before I tell you what I have in mind, I want to ask you something. 97.8% of you are not subscribed to the channel, so leave a subscribe. And while you're down there, why not leave a like too? Now, because you helped me, I can continue. Throughout his career, Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored a lot of beautiful goals, but this one is by far his best. After already scoring a hat-trick and helping his team lead England 3-2, Zlatan said he could do more than that, and in the 91st minute, he scored his 4th goal. It wasn't an ordinary goal though, it was a bicycle kick scored from 29.53 meters. When asked about this goal, Zlatan responded with his usual humbleness. I don't know if you'll see another like it in your life, and that's why we love him. Football really needs players like Zlatan. Now next up is the youngest player from this list, Alejandro Garnacho. He's a superstar, I mean, in a pretty bad year for United. Him, Dalit and Bruno were the only ones that had a good season. Well, them and Mano, but he made his appearance in the squad late in the season. He's only 19 years old, but he managed to score a Puskas-worthy goal. In the 3rd minute of United's trip to Goodison Park, Dalit sent a cross in the box for Garnacho. Even though it was a little high, the youngster somehow managed to reach the ball and send a bicycle kick over Pickford. I know this is the 3rd consecutive bicycle, but what can I say? They're so beautiful when scored. What's interesting about this goal is that it was similar to Rooney's against City. Maybe he could be as important as Rooney was for the Red Devils. Who knows? Dutch footballers are no strangers to scoring stunning goals at the World Cup. Van Bronckhorst and Robben are some of the players that impressed the world at this prestigious tournament. However, Robin van Persie scored a goal that made those two executions look like nothing. In his prime, Van Persie specialized in unique runs that, though he may not have been the quickest, got the separation he needed to have room for a go at goal. In the game against Spain, his movement was seen by Blind, who played the ball over the top of both Jordi Alba and Sergio Ramos. Many people said that it was Ramos's fault Van Persie reached the ball, but I don't really agree with them. I think it was just a perfect pass from Blind. With the ball put right where he needed it, it's all left for Van Persie to slow down time and think his execution. Forced to slow his run to meet the ball at the perfect time, the volley was not possible. He realized that, and he plants and springs himself at the ball like he's jumping off a diving board into a pool. With the ball too far out for Casillas, he stood in the box and hoped Van Persie will miss the shot. Well, unfortunately for Spain, he didn't. The ball finds RVP around 16 yards from goal. He headed the ball over Casillas and scored an iconic goal. After this masterpiece, Spain players' morale was destroyed, and the Netherlands won the game 5-1. I think this was the worst defeat at the World Cup for Spain too. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. The last goal I want to talk about is a strange one. Maybe not many of you know who Stefan Kiesling is, but in 2013, he scored an interesting goal. Because of a simple hole in the net, when Leverkusen faced Hoffenheim, helped him score a so-called phantom goal. Leverkusen had a corner, and the ball was crossed to Kiesling, who hit the ball in that hole's direction. Thinking his effort went wide, he placed his hands to his head. It all happened so fast that 1 second the ball was wide, and the next it was into the goal. The officials were confused, just like everyone else. However, the goal was awarded, and Leverkusen won that game 2-1. The goal frame in the net can now be seen in a local museum. With goal line technology introduced in Bundesliga in the 2015-16 season, such freak events should definitely not happen again. But football is unpredictable, so maybe it will. These are only some of the craziest goals scored in football history. If you want to see a part 2, show some support to the video, and leave a comment down below with any other suggestions. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy these ones too.